It was the middle of the night. She was just a poor girl in Mississippi. He slept on sacks. He wore sack clothes. At age 9, he suffered the unimaginable. At 14, a dream died. A note echoed in his mind, "You will never succeed." Today, it is worth over $1 billion. You'll discover how Oprah Winfrey turned the worst day of her life into the first step towards $1 billion. Plus, how she became an investor, not just a celebrity, and built an empire. Hold on tight, because the route is going to change. Before fame, before television, before the billions, there was a girl, Oprah Gail Winfrey. She was born in 1954 in rural Mississippi in a wooden cabin, no bathroom, no real floor, without any luxury other than grandmother's love. The water came from the well, the food came from the farm, and the clothes were made from potato sacks. Raised by her grandmother, a washerwoman, Oprah grew up hearing the same phrase every day: study. My daughter, it's the only way out. As grandma scrubbed clothes with her bruised hands, Oprah reads the Bible, then spoke as if she had been born to be heard. When he didn't help with the chores, interviewed corn cobs as if they were celebrities. She couldn't explain why, but something inside her said, one day, the world will listen to me. The world would listen, but before that, she would have to survive. At age 9, Oprah's world came crashing down. The curious girl, who dreamed of speaking to crowds, was silenced by violence, abused by relatives, betrayed by people who were supposed to protect her. Every time I tried to tell them, they said it was a lie. So she learned to keep quiet. He carried fear in his body and shame in his eyes. At 13, he ran away from home. She lived from shelter to shelter until she was sent to live with her father, a stern man, but who believed in discipline. It was there, between punishments and books, that Oprah discovered something powerful knowledge could liberate. But before finding strength, came the hardest blow. At 14, she became pregnant. The baby was born prematurely and did not survive. That day, Oprah believed her story was over, rejected by her mother, judged by society. A young body, with a soul in pieces, but it was in this abyss that she began to understand who she really was. She could have become a statistic. I could have given up, and the world wouldn't even notice. But somehow, she looked at the pain and decided to turn it into fuel. Because when you lose everything, what remains is to start over. It happened in a cold way. Oprah, now an adult, had finally achieved something. A position as a presenter on a local news program. But it didn't last. The boss looked into her eyes and said, "You're too emotional. That's not good for serious journalism." And at that moment, she was fired. Not because of incompetence, not by mistake, but for being who she was. A woman, black, expressive, intense. Leaving the building, he felt the wind in his face like a slap. The world seemed to say, "You don't belong." Back in the small apartment, he sat on the floor. Between boxes, he looked at his empty hands and thought, maybe I'll never be enough. He cried, silently, as so many times before. But there was a difference in that cry. Deep down, a flame refused to go out. Something inside her whispered, what if this isn't the end? What if this is just the beginning? And you, how many times did you feel like the world was playing against you? That no matter how hard you try, does the system seem designed to push you down? How many doors have you knocked on, and none of them opened? How many times have you held back your tears, put a smile on your face, and continued as if everything was fine? How many times have you been told you were too much, too emotional, too dreamy, not realistic enough? How many times have you believed that you were not capable, just because the world taught you to doubt yourself? The truth is hard, but it needs to be said. This system was not made for you. But you know what Oprah shows us, that it is possible to win despite him, and that, sometimes, what seems to be the end, it's just the beginning of the right path. She could have accepted her fate. I could have believed in rejection. We abuse upon dismissal. It could have gone out, like so many other voices that the world has silenced. But something inside her refused to die. A silent force, a discreet flame that resisted even in the darkness. While everything around screamed, you won't make it, this voice whispered, you will not be defined by this. And it was hearing that voice, weak but stubborn, that Oprah decided to take the next step, even without knowing how. even with fear, but with one certainty. She hadn't come this far to stop there. The chance came small, an internship at a local radio station. No golden microphone, no audience, just a stuffy room, an old tape recorder, and a voice. Avaz de Oprah.strong.clara.human. Soon, she wasn't just reading the news. She felt the news, and people felt it together. The audience grew, because, unlike the others, Oprah did not speak with a hostess tone. She spoke as if she understood, as someone who experienced the pain he is narrating. And that changed everything. From radio reporter, he went to local TV. Cameras, spotlights, scripts, pressure. But even there, in that cold, technical environment, there was something in her that no one could teach: empathy. Oprah didn't ask questions to sound smart. She asked because she wanted to understand. And it was this genuine curiosity, this raw humanity, that began to open doors. She wasn't perfect, but it was real. And for the first time, this started to be an advantage. In 1983, she received a proposal: take over a talk show in Chicago. But it was not a success. On the contrary, the program was almost canceled. Low audience, sponsors dropping out. No major broadcaster wanted to take a chance. But Oprah wanted to try. On the first day of recording, there was no packed audience, no rehearsed applause. There was distrust. Some producers turned up their noses. Very emotional, very intense, very different. But she ignored it. He sat on the sofa, looked at the guest, and did what he knew how to do best: listen, feel, connect. And the audience felt it together. Within a few weeks, the audience doubled. In a few months, it tripled. And soon, what was a threatened program became the biggest talk show in the United States. Oprah didn't just take the microphone. She took control of the narrative. For the first time, millions of people saw a black woman with a voice, an opinion, and power. And they felt represented. The country watched. The world commented. And her, it was just beginning. When you look at Oprah today, sees billions, spotlights, magazine covers. But what brought her here? It wasn't luck. It was not a privilege. And it definitely wasn't the starting point. Because her starting point, it was hunger. It was abandonment. It was the silence of pain. But she chose something that no one could take away: attitude. The way she responded to pain. The way she refused to accept no. The attitude of getting up, even without strength. And that changes everything. Because life can give you an unfair start, but the ending is yours to write. And the first sentence of your turn could be today. Your past is not a prison, it's fuel. Remember this: your starting point does not define your destination. Your attitude defines. In 1986, Oprah did something few people dare to do. She stopped just appearing on TV and began to own the TV. Founded Harpo Productions, a simple name, but which carries a powerful idea. Harpo is Oprah backwards, because she decided to reverse the logic. If before the big broadcasters dictated the rules, now she was the one producing. She was the one who decided. She is the one who profits. For the first time, a black woman in the United States controlled the rights to the program itself. And that changed everything. Every episode aired, every rerun, each advertisement aired. It wasn't just fame, it was billing. While the world saw a presenter, behind the scenes, Oprah was building an empire. And it all started with a choice: be an owner, not just an employee. Because whoever builds true freedom does not depend on the stage. It depends on possession. Oprah's real secret was not appearing on TV every day. It was something that most people don't even see. She owned what she created. While other prisoners earned a salary, Oprah was negotiating participation. She controlled the copyright, distribution profits, international sales, and even derived products. Every minute that aired, it was a seed that came back to her. And what did she do with what she earned? Reinvest. In itself, in new projects, in ideas he believed in. I didn't spend it all. It multiplied. Oprah understood a simple truth early on, but powerful. Those who have no control live on crumbs. Those who have control build empires. The world was applauding the star, but she was writing contracts. While everyone looked at the cameras, Oprah dominated what was behind them. And that's how she stopped depending on opportunities and began to create them. In 1986, The program aired for the first time. The expectation was modest, but what happened was historic. Oprah didn't just win over the audience. She created a legion. Ordinary people who saw themselves in stories, in the tears, in the questions, in the way she looked and listened. The Oprah Winfrey Show has become a daily ritual for millions of people. For 25 years, she was there every day, on the same sofa, with the same truth. There were more than 4,500 episodes, and in each of them, she delivered more than entertainment. She delivered hope, real stories, real transformations, and the most impressive thing, she kept the audience up there. No dancing, no scandal, no shouting, only with empathy, only with presence. Millions watched not because she was famous, but because she made every person feel important. And it's the kind of power that no amount of money can buy. It's the kind of legacy that transforms lives. That's why Oprah didn't just become a presenter. She became a symbol. For many people, Oprah was just a celebrity. Another famous face, another rich woman on TV. For those who only looked at fame, didn't understand anything. Because for her, fame was never destiny. It was a tool. It was leverage. The audience, it was influence. Visibility, it was currency. The stage, it was a platform. While many were searching for lights, Oprah thought about structure. While others wanted applause, she wanted a share of the profits. She understood early, fame without strategy is fleeting. But when you use fame consciously, it turns into a lever to build businesses, change narratives, and open doors that money alone cannot open. Oprah didn't just want to be heard. She wanted to move the world. She had everything most people dream of. Audience, recognition, money, but deep down, Oprah knew an uncomfortable truth. Fame alone is not freedom. Because fame gives you exposure, but it doesn't give you control. Fame opens doors for you, but it doesn't protect you from unfair contracts. Fame shines brightly, but it goes out quickly, and she didn't want to depend on the spotlight. She wanted to be able to choose. I wanted to say no without fear. I wanted to build, not just appear. That's when she understood. The key to freedom is not fame, it's on the property. And property comes from investment. To be truly free, Oprah had to become an investor. One day, Oprah looked at her bank account and realized something that few people realize. Money idle is wasted freedom. Because no matter how much you earn, if everything that goes in comes out, if the money is only used to pay bills, you are working to survive. And she didn't want to survive. I wanted to live with purpose and choice. That's when a new mindset was born. It's not enough to make money. You have to multiply it. Oprah understood that every real, every dollar could be a soldier who works for her while she sleeps, a soldier who builds the future. And that's how she started investing, not just in stocks, real estate or companies, but in ideas, in causes, in possibilities. Why invest is to plant today what you want to harvest tomorrow. And those who live only in the present will never own the after. The year was 2003. Headlines exploded around the world. Oprah Winfrey, the first black woman to become a billionaire. But what seemed like a number was, in fact, a historic landmark. Behind that $1 billion, there were decades of struggle, strategy, and courage. It was not an inheritance. It wasn't a lottery. It was sweat. It was a vision. Every penny of that heritage was built with smart decisions. Instead of buying everything I could, she chose to invest in everything that would make sense in the long term. Own programs, independent production, copyright, shareholdings in companies. Oprah understood the game, and he played like no one else. In a world that has always tried to silence your voice, she didn't just talk, she made money. And that billion, it wasn't just about money, it was about freedom, about saying, I arrived, and I arrived being who I am. One day, Oprah looked at her bank account and realized something that few people realize. Money idle is wasted freedom. Because no matter how much you earn, if everything that goes in comes out, if the money is only used to pay bills, you are working to survive. And she didn't want to survive. I wanted to live with purpose and choice. That's when a new mindset was born. It's not enough to make money. You have have to multiply it. Oprah understood that every real, every dollar could be a soldier. A soldier who works for her while she sleeps. A soldier who builds the future. And that's how she started investing. Not just in stocks, real estate or companies, but in ideas, in causes, in possibilities. Why invest is to plant today what you want to harvest tomorrow. And those who live only in the present will never only after. When you think of Oprah Winfrey, television, talk shows, and the spotlight come to mind. But the real story goes much further. Beyond the cameras, she became an investor, philanthropist, and collector with vision and purpose. For example, in 2015, Oprah acquired about 10% of WW International, formerly Weight Watchers Ascension Tour, an investment worth approximately $43 million, which appreciated sharply in value over the following years. Another example, through her family office, she invested in startups like Oatly Group, Efficiencies, True for Kitchen, and others, showing that she's not limited to the famous plus celebrity, but is looking to the future. And it doesn't stop there. Art, yes, in 2006, she bought Gustav Klimt's portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer II for $87.9 million and sold it years later for about $150 million, netting over $60 million. Architectural Digest Philanthropy II. Its foundation and social projects invest millions in education, museums, and social impact. What does this show? That Oprah's money never stood still. That fame alone does not build a legacy. That investing with vision, purpose, and control is what creates real freedom. And if she, who started with almost nothing, managed to diversify, multiply, and impact, then you can also learn the principles and apply them to your route. Oprah's mind, it was like a road full of signs. Some said, danger, too risky, you don't belong here. But she decided to ignore those signs, and he started creating his own. One said, if you're scared, go scared. Another, courage is not the absence of risk, it is action despite the risk. And further on, daily persistence builds lasting freedom. These phrases were not on billboards, they were in the mind, and they were the ones who guided each choice, each investment, every step. Because she knew, who runs their life based on fear, break before the most important curve, but whoever drives with vision accelerates towards freedom. Oprah was not guided by what was said about her. It was guided by something greater, a mindset, trained to win. For years, you've seen Oprah on TV, introducing, interviewing, exciting, and like millions of people, you might have thought, she's just a presenter. But what you didn't see, that's what was happening behind the scenes. As the audience applauded in the studio, she was quietly buying up pieces of empire. She didn't just talk on the show. She owned the show, owner of the production company, owner of distribution, owner of the idea. Every episode was an asset. Each rerun, an income. Each contract, a seed planted for the future. The public saw charisma. She saw capital. The world saw a star. She saw a scalable business. Oprah wasn't just appearing on television. She was building what no one imagined. Freedom disguised as entertainment. And this is the biggest breach of expectations in her story. She never wanted to be just a celebrity. She's always been CEO. Notice something simple, but powerful. Oprah didn't try to do it all. She had focus. He chose a path, and he put energy, study, strategy, and soul into it. After, found the right lever. Television was the showcase, the producer, the structure, investments, multiplication. But the common point between all of this, she knew where to put her strength. And you, where's your focus today? In pleasing everyone? In putting out fires? Or in building something that will free you in the future? And more. What is your lever? What can you use to turn effort into scale? Maybe it's your knowledge, your talent, your story. You don't need everything. You just need a clear direction and the courage to push. Because focus plus leverage is what moves even the impossible. Make no mistake, success does not immunize anyone against falls, not even Oprah. After reaching the top, she faced new types of challenges, businesses that didn't take off, partnerships gone wrong, projects that were expensive and didn't bring any returns. An example, her own network, OW and Oprah Winfrey Network. When it was released, expectations were huge, but in the early years, The audience was low. The criticisms heavy. Many said she had lost her touch. And that's where the danger of fame lies. She can put you on a pedestal, but does not guarantee profit. Oprah had to recalculate, review strategies, change directions, because the game changes, and those who don't adapt to sink. But she didn't let her ego get the better of her. She let her intelligence speak, adjusted the format, diversified the content, sought new partnerships. And once again, it turned the tables. Because success is not about never falling. It's about knowing how you get up and where you go from there. After the stumbles, Oprah could have backed down, slowed down the pace, if hidden behind the name. But she chose something bigger, adjust the route. First, she diversified. He understood that he could not depend on a single channel, from a single front, from a single audience. Expanded, invested in startups, healthy eating, mental health, technology. Then she learned to delegate. She stopped trying to control everything on her own, built teams, strengthened leadership, and began to operate as it always had, a CEO. While the public watched TV's Oprah, behind it, there was a structure working for it. And finally, perhaps most importantly, she understood that true success is not about earning more. It is to gain freedom, freedom of time, freedom of opinion, freedom to say no. Oprah adjusted the route, not to have more fame, but to have more power over your own life. Have you ever bet on something that didn't work out? Have you ever trusted someone who disappointed you? Have you ever made decisions that you wouldn't make again today? All good. Oprah too. And do you know what she teaches with her own story? That the error does not invalidate you. What stops you is not the error, it's the attachment to him. Because everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone corrects course. The difference between stagnation and evolution is to recognize that didn't work, but I can try another way. And when you understand this, the game changes. You stop being a victim of the past and becomes the author of the next chapter. So if you've already failed, already got into debt, already paralyzed, breathe. The route can still be adjusted, and the steering wheel is still in your hands. When you hear billionaire Oprah, it may seem unattainable, a miracle, a coincidence, one of those rare cases that only happens once in history. But it wasn't magic, it was consistency. It was a series of decisions. Small, repeated, strategic. It was pain transformed into purpose, shame transformed into voice, and fear transformed into movement. Oprah has fallen many times, but in all of them, she raised it more clearly, because she wasn't looking for perfection. She was correcting the course, and this is what you need to understand. You don't need luck, you need direction. From the fall to the billion, there is no magic. There is mentality, there is a method, there is a decision, and that you can learn and apply. Your turnaround begins the moment you choose not to give up. Being a billionaire is impressive, but that's not what makes Oprah immortal. What really separates her from the majority is what she does with that power. Because for her, wealth was never just about having. It's always been about transforming realities, mentalities, futures. Oprah has already donated hundreds of millions of dollars for social projects, schools, hospitals, scholarships. Fundo a Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy, a girls' school in South Africa, where not only mathematics and science are taught, it teaches leadership, self-esteem, vision. She supported racial, gender, mental health, art, and literary causes. And perhaps most powerful of all, she gave voice to those the world tried to silence. Oprah didn't use her fame to shine alone. She built a stage where others could also stand. Because your greatest asset, it is not the bank account, it's the impact. It's the trail of light she leaves wherever she goes. This is legacy, and that kind of wealth does not fit on a bank statement. Oprah's story is great, but what makes it truly powerful is what you can get out of it. Because it doesn't matter if you don't have the same resources. You can have the same principles. Here are 3 great lessons you can apply starting today. 1. Investor mindset. Stop thinking like a consumer. Always ask yourself, does this take me further away or closer to my freedom? Every real can be spent or multiplied. 2. Control your assets. Oprah didn't get rich because she was on TV. She became rich because she owned what she created. And you? Do you have control over what you produce? About your time? About your knowledge? Start building ownership, even if if it's small, freedom comes from ownership. 3. Purpose with profit. Making money doesn't have to be the opposite of having purpose. Oprah invested in health, education, inclusion, because profit with purpose is what builds legacy. And you don't have to be a billionaire to get started. You just need to decide that what you do will be of value to someone. These are the keys. And if you apply this honestly, consistently, and intelligently, your turnaround is also possible. Most people work the whole month because in the end, what matters is not how much you appear, it's how much you control. In 2011, Oprah did something bold. After 25 years at the helm of America's most watched talk show, she ended the Oprah Winfrey Show. Millions of fans were in shock, but she wasn't retiring. He was taking the biggest step of his life. Launched OW and Oprah Winfrey Network, a TV station with its own name, the DNA itself, the narrative itself. I no longer wanted to depend on programming schedules. I wanted to create a space where stories that matter could be told. But the beginning was not easy. The audience was weak. The criticism, harsh. The numbers are worrying. And then the adjustment came. Oprah changed the format. He left aside the attempt to do more of the same and focused on what he knew how to do best: real stories, depth, transformation. He traded shallow entertainment for content with soul, invited new voices, strategic partnerships, original productions with purpose. Own got out of the hole and became one of the most respected networks on American cable television. Because Oprah understood something few understand: business is not a straight line, it's curved, it's correction, it's the courage to change, even when everyone is watching. And you, have you ever made a mistake? Have you ever bet on something that didn't work out? Have you ever trusted someone who disappointed you? Have you ever made decisions that you wouldn't make again today? All good. Oprah too. And you know what she teaches with her own story? That the error does not invalidate you. What stops you is not the error, it's the attachment to him. Because everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone corrects course. The difference between stagnation and evolution is to recognize that didn't work, but I can try another way. And when you understand this, the game changes. You stop being a victim of the past and becomes the author of the next chapter. So if you've already failed, already got into debt, already paralyzed, breathe. The route can still be adjusted, and the steering wheel is still in your hands. In 2011, Oprah did something bold. After 25 years at the helm of America's most watched talk show, she ended the Oprah Winfrey Show. Millions of fans were in shock, but she wasn't retiring. He was taking the biggest step of his life. Launched OW and Oprah Winfrey Network, a TV station with its own name, the DNA itself, the narrative itself. I no longer wanted to depend on programming schedules. I wanted to create a space where stories that matter could be told. But the beginning was not easy. The audience was weak. To criticism, harsh. The numbers are worrying. And then the adjustment came. Oprah changed the format. He left aside the attempt to do more of the same and focused on what he knew how to do best: real stories, depth, transformation. He traded shallow entertainment for content with soul, invited new voices, strategic partnerships, original productions with purpose, got out of the hole, and became one of the most respected networks on American cable television. Because Oprah understood something few understand: business is not a straight line, it's curved, it's correction, it's the courage to change, even when everyone is watching. And you, have you ever made a mistake just to pay bills, and when there's something left over, spend on what gives immediate pleasure? But Oprah learned a powerful truth early on: those who only consume remain dependent. Those who invest begin to build freedom. And we're not talking about big sums, we're talking about intention, the way you look at your money, the question you ask yourself before spending. Will this give me a return? Every reel can be a momentary relief or a long-term seed. Shopping is easy, multiplying requires vision. Oprah started small, but with an investor's mindset. She didn't wait to get rich to invest. She became rich because she started investing. And you can too, with little, with focus, with purpose. Fame passes, money disappears, opportunities come and go. But who has control over their own assets has power. Oprah understood this early on. She didn't just want to earn well, she wanted to own what she built. Owner of the program, owner of the production company, owner of the idea. While other prisoners earned a salary, she kept the rights. While the others appeared, she signed the contracts. This is control, and you need to think so too. Your knowledge is an asset. Your attention is an asset. Your time is the most valuable of them. And what do you do with these assets today defines your future tomorrow. So stop outsourcing your destiny. Start building property. It could be a project, a product, a channel, a content. What matters is that it's yours. Because in the end, those who have no assets live on their salary. Those who have assets live in freedom. The story you just heard, it's not just about Oprah. It's about possibility. It's about what happens when someone stop accepting the script they gave you and start writing your own. Oprah fell, was rejected, humiliated, ignored, but she chose not to cling to the past. She chose to change course. And that you can do it too, even with little, even starting from scratch. Even if no one believes it, you are part of this journey. And if you've made it this far, it's because a part of you knows, I can also rewrite my financial history. The route doesn't have to be perfect. She just needs to be yours. And the first step, it could be now. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself in 5 years. You wake up without an alarm clock. The cell phone does not vibrate when charging. You choose where you want to be. Choose who to work with. Choose how you will live. Because money no longer controls your life. He serves her. You no longer run after bills. You run after it on purpose. Take a deep breath, because the scene is not fantasy. It is possible, but it depends on one thing, the decision you make today. Topography on screen. You deserve it too. You can do it too. You will get there too. Take a good look at this timeline. Poverty gives talk show, gives empire, gives investments, gives legacy. A girl in potato sack, clothes, became the most influential woman on television. A young woman silenced by trauma became the voice of millions. An employee fired for being too emotional became CEO of his own production company. A discredited presenter built a billion-dollar empire. But she didn't stop there. She multiplied her assets, reinvestment, created schools, projects, networks, and a legacy that goes far beyond fame. Oprah is not just a success story. She is living proof that the route can be corrected. And with focus, attitude, and vision, you can also write yours. And this story made sense to you. If at any time you saw yourself in the falls, in pain, or in Oprah's restart, so now you know, you can also correct the route. Subscribe to the channel, because here, we don't sell miracles. We share real scripts for real comebacks. Like the video, and share it with someone who needs a push to believe in yourself again. And activate the bell, because the next video on the playlist will show you step by step how to start investing with little. Even if today you are drowning in debt, this isn't about perfection, it's about the journey. And this is yours.